The Last Angry Geek and I go back quite a ways, as you can imagine. So, okay. We were in Reno, doing the filming of Kick-Assia, and I just accidentally strangled this hooker. So this guy comes along, reassuring me it'd be okay and everything, and he said pretty much that he could totally make this woman disappear and act like she never existed, and all I'd have to do in return is give his cousin a job reviewing comic books, and that turned out to be The Last Angry Geek. So when did we start filming?
Oh, happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary. For a cheerful toast and fill it, happy anniversary. But be careful you don't spill it, happy anniversary. Oh, happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Comic Book Issues. I'm your host, The Last Angry Geek. Well, it's my 50th episode, and as you can see from that opening, I've made quite an impression around here. We'll be checking in with my fellow producers as the show goes on. When I first started, the show was a simpler time. Comics only cost $3. Spider-Man was happily divorced, thanks to the devil. And companies relied on overly long, colossal crossovers that dominated their monthly titles, annoying fans who simply wanted a good story. How times have changed. Given the importance of this episode, I knew I needed something equally colossal to review. With that in mind, I present a 9-issue miniseries that came out bi-monthly, meaning it took about 2 years to put out in its entirety. From the creative team of Young Avengers, Alan Heinberg and Jim Chung, it's a miniseries whose effects are still being felt in the current Avengers vs. X-Men event. This is Avengers, the Children's Crusade. The Young Avengers were formed after the original Avengers disbanded, following the Scarlet Witch's mental breakdown, leading to the deaths of Hawkeye, Vision, Jack of Hearts, and Ant-Man. The team was led by Iron Lad, himself the future villain Kang, trying to outrun his destiny as that monster. Along with Iron Lad, they are the original Captain America, Isaiah Bradley's grandson, Eli, Billy Kaplan, aka Wiccan, a spellcaster, and Hulkling, Wiccan's shape-shifting boyfriend Teddy. They were later joined by Kate Bishop, who became the new Hawkeye, and Cassie Lang, Ant-Man's daughter, who could shrink and grow in size as stature, and Thomas, the aptly named Speed. When Iron Lad left to confront his destiny, his armor became animated with the mental imprint of the Vision, creating a totally new version of that android. Along the way, Billy and Thomas learned they were the reincarnations of the Scarlet Witch's magically created children. The original title came to a premature end when Alan Heinberg's television career kept him busy, and Jimmy Chung, the book's penciler, moved on to other Marvel projects. So many of these heroes have their own strong identity, just as I've tried to carve out my own strong identity. When I first started, people just referred to me as that bland guy. Today, many of my fans refer to me as the bland guy, the Last Angry Geek. Proof positive that I've made an impact on my audience. Here's someone else I've made an impact on.
The Last Angry Geek? Last Angry Geek. Oh! I've never heard of him.
Thank you, Mars Girl. Now that we know who the Young Avengers are, we join them in the first issue of the Children's Crusade as they come face to face with their destiny. Issue 1 of this story follows the Young Avengers as they fight the white supremacy group, the Sons of the Serpents. They're joined by Miss Marvel, Iron Man, and Captain America. One soldier activates the nuclear bomb strapped to his back as Wiccan confronts him, and the world goes white. We fade in on the Avengers to see that Wiccan has suppressed the explosion. Back at Avengers HQ, the team is worried about how powerful Wiccan might be, and they tell the kids how the Scarlet Witch lost control of her powers and wiped out the mutant race in House of M. Wiccan asks if they ever discovered who was really responsible for that act. The Avengers are convinced that it was the Scarlet Witch, as Wiccan is that it wasn't, and he refuses to submit to their testing his power limits. When the Young Avengers try to reason with Billy that he lost control of his powers during the battle, just like Wanda did, he ditches them and heads home, only to find his parents waiting there with Captain America. Wow. I mean, imagine being a young gay man whose parents are okay with you being gay, and still you get outed. By Captain America, no less. Pfft, more like Captain Narc. Not cool, man. Not cool. As they head to Avengers headquarters, Tommy joins them, making it clear he's not leaving his boyfriend alone in the hero's custody. An intimate moment is broken up by Speed and the Vision, who evacuate the couple from their guest room. The Young Avengers have decided to stand by Wiccan, who's concerned with running away. Cassie suggests they actually find the missing Scarlet Witch, and maybe she could use her powers to restore the mutants and bring Stature's father back to life. One person couldn't agree more with that: Magneto. Mags tries to swoop off with his grandkids. He wants to search for Wanda in Wundagore Mountain, their family's ancestral home, but the Young Avengers cut him off. The debate is broken up by the Avengers, including Wolverine, who reminds Magneto he warned him to stay away from the kids. Wondering just what the hell Wolvie is talking about? Well, back in Uncanny X-Men number 526, Alan Heinberg wrote a backup story to serve as a prologue to this story. It was drawn by Oliver Copiel, and it featured Magneto discovering the existence of Wiccan and Speed. Suffice to say, just about everyone in the X-Men tells him not to get involved. Speaking of people you shouldn't get involved with...
Word on the street was he was behind the ending of Mass Effect 3. I cried for days.
That's a dirty lie! I only suggested it be confusing and soul-crushing. It was EA's decision. Besides, I was drunk and sad. Back to the recap. The Avengers think Magneto is the one who took Wiccan from their base, and he accuses them of not wanting to find Wanda, for if they did, they'd have to kill her, lest she rewrite reality again, something Wolverine agrees with as he attempts to take down Wiccan. With the situation devolving into a slugfest, Wiccan casts a spell spiriting the Young Avengers and Magneto away. The Avengers question what they're going to do next, with Wolverine pointing out that Wiccan will lead them straight to the missing Wanda. The team is now at Wundagore Mountain, and Patriot is exasperated that Wiccan's made their situation with the Avengers much worse by running, though co-leader Hawkeye promises Wiccan they'll stay together. They're a team. Later, the two bicker over this, Patriot insisting that Billy's compulsive need to find Wanda is placing them in danger, and Kate insisting that they need to support their friend. Cassie and the Vision also discuss a possibility that a price must be paid to resurrect her father, Ant-Man. The Vision is afraid that it will be her life. Foreshadowing. I'm sure she'll be fine. Magneto, Speed, and Wiccan join hands, and using his power, Billy feels out the Scarlet Witch in a nearby town. Speed takes off to find her, but is stopped by Wanda's brother, Quicksilver. Quicksilver found out about Magneto's attack on the Avengers and wants Wanda left alone, or he will lead the superheroes right to them. This leads to him running off with Wiccan. He suggests that Wiccan and he work together to find Wanda, even as Speed catches up to them. Stymied by his dad's powers, Pietro hurls some wooden stakes at Daddy Dearest, one of which heads towards a native girl revealed to be Wanda herself, impaling her. However, it turns out that the Wanda living in this village is a robot. Not just any robot, a Doombot, meaning the Scarlet Witch is in the hands of Dr. Doom. We get a nice double-page splash as Magneto explains how Doom has the technological and magical means to have made Wanda disappear as she did. Pietro points out that if Doom had the Scarlet Witch, they'd already be living in Doom's world right now, and Eli argues against going to war with Doom. But before you can say broken record, Wiccan pipes in with the offer to go in alone. As the Young Avengers argue with Magneto over their next course of action, Billy sneaks out to try and head to Ledveria, Doom's home. Quicksilver finds him and tries to convince him to bring him along. But the Young Avengers put a stop to that, with Hulkling threatening to dismember Pietro if he tries to corrupt Billy again. Back in LA, the Avengers meet with a former member, Wonder Man, who Wanda once resurrected. They're hoping he could lead them to her, but he won't have anything to do with it. Wolverine has made it clear he wants her dead, leading Wonder Man to knock him through a wall. Wolvie also questions Cap's loyalty to the witch before storming out of Avengers Tower. Wonder Man follows suit, refusing to betray his former love. During the middle of the night, Wiccan sneaks out, again, and teleports to Dr. Doom's castle. He is surrounded by Doombots, but transforms himself to look like Wanda, and the bots escort him into the castle. Once inside his stateroom, he's tossed down by the Scarlet Witch herself. However, she doesn't recognize him or understand his references to her past life. She's Wanda Maximoff, humble villager, and tomorrow is her wedding day. Tomorrow she becomes Mrs. Dr. Victor Von Doom. The two engage in a duel of magical pyrotechnics, with Wiccan revealing Wanda's past to her. Before he reveals he's her son, Doom knocks him out. As the Young Avengers try to figure out how to get into Doom's castle, they spot Wonder Man flying in. He's on the line with the Avengers, whom he's correctly suspected are tracking him to Latveria. Billy wakes up to find Dr. Doom healing him with a spell. Doom explains Wanda came to him with no memories or powers to ask for aid for her village, and that he fell in love with her. He offers Wiccan asylum, but also tells him that his spell has removed Billy's powers. With Magneto attacking spaceships around Doom's castle, which once more brings up Patriot's distrust of the ex-terrorist. The Young Avengers sneak in, only to be stopped by the regular Avengers. Wanda breaks Billy out and asks him to explain what happened to her. He goes over the story of Wanda's children before being interrupted by the assembled Avengers fighting with Doom's robots. Wolverine jumps out of nowhere, ambushing Wanda. He's stopped by an energy blast from the last person we expected to see, Iron Lad, the boy who founded the Young Avengers and will one day grow up to be Kang the Conqueror. The proper story was then interrupted by a special, Avengers, the Children's Crusade, Young Avengers, written by Heinberg and drawn by Alan Davis. It shows why Iron Lad came back to the past and gives you the first time Patriot, Iron Lad, Wiccan, and Hulkling teamed up, but it ultimately adds nothing to the main story. We get a brief glimpse of the future Young Avengers, but given how Children's Crusade will end, this special ends up creating more questions and confuses the ending of its parent book. Over the years, there have been a lot of confusing storylines to make their way through comic book issues. One of the worst was Spider-Man, One Moment in Time. Fortunately, I navigated through that one with help of my good, personal friend, Linkara.
Well, of course, The Geek has been a great influence on me. Oh, not style or even quality-wise. After all, my show is popular. But we were once talking about the Grant Morrison story, Final Crisis, and he fell to the ground, foaming at the mouth. I watched him for several minutes, not bothering to help him, of course, because I'm too busy making history of Power Rangers and everything, and thought to myself, wow, that's commitment to hating a comic book. I was impressed. I mean, it turns out he'd been stung by a bee and was having a seizure, but still.
I was in the hospital for a month. Fortunately, a hobo wandered by and gave me mouth-to-mouth. I'd prefer to call an ambulance, but there you go. Cassie and Nathaniel joyfully reunite, breaking Vision's synthezoid heart a bit. We cut to Doom attacking Wiccan as Wanda reveals her part in Billy's escape. Before Dr. Doom can explain why he's afraid of Wanda learning the truth, Magneto and the Avengers attack. The Scarlet Witch and Wiccan reunite with the Young Avengers, and Iron Lad takes them away into the time stream. At which point Doom tells the heroes that here Wanda was pacified, but now, unchecked and uncontrolled, the woman who decimated the mutant race could be anywhere. Traveling through time, Stature asks that they head to the day her father died so Wanda can fix things. Eli points out she'll change history. She won't be able to help herself. Iron Lad assures the team his new technology will allow them to observe the past, and they arrive at Avengers Mansion. Iron Lad teases the Vision that he might still be married to the Scarlet Witch when Cassie sees her father, Scott Lang, the second Ant-Man. The new technology doesn't work, and he does see her as she grabs him in a hug. She passes off her friends as wearing Halloween costumes when Scott points out that Jack of Hearts' costume is in poor taste. It's the real Jack of Hearts about to play out his part in the destruction of the Avengers. The team runs as Jack is about to explode and destroy the mansion, but Wanda stays behind. Seeing Jack triggers something in her. The dead hero begs her not to make him do this, but explodes anyway as Speed ferrets his mother away. The explosion hurls the team into the present, where Ant-Man sees his own memorial statue. They try and figure out how they traveled through time without Iron Lad's equipment when the Scarlet Witch arrives, announcing it was her doing. She's in full costume and her memories are restored. You know, I've often wondered, why are so many heroes color-coded? I mean, Wanda's not just the witch, she's the Scarlet Witch. It's like the Green Lantern, Green Hornet, Green Arrow, Red Hulk. Are we so overflowing with these heroes we need a coding system? More to the point, are we so vain that the only way we can feel special about ourselves is adopting colorful nom de plumes? Just another comic book social commentary from your friend, the Last Angry Geek. Wanda begins listing the crimes of the Avengers as Jessica Jones shows up with Hawkeye and Beast, both of whom found Wanda in Europe earlier. Scott greets his ex-girlfriend and they recap the situation, though Hawkeye isn't too happy to find out that the Wanda he slept with was a robot. All joking is cut short by the Scarlet Witch creating an armada of Ultrons and Kree. Not to kill the Avengers, but herself. Cassie enlarges, showing off her powers to her dad, and holds Wiccan up to Wanda. He finally spills the truth that he and Speed are the reincarnations of her children. The truth shocks her out of her spellcasting, and the two tearfully hug. Speed brings it back to Earth. Now that she's back, they'll lose her again because she must pay for the terrible things she did. However, the Beast suggests redemption. What if she repowers the mutants she depowered? This brings in X Factor, a team of mutant detectives, including the depowered Richter. They tell Wanda how Quicksilver tried to repower mutants with the Inhumans' Terrigen crystals, but the process proved lethal. Richter decides to risk it, and Wanda charges him full of energy, and an earthquake starts to bring the building down around them. But the mutants learn this is actually Richter's powers kicking back in. This might be good news as the latest players on the scene arrive, the X-Men. Wanda is now determined. She's going to give them more mutants. Richter gets his powers back. That seems very familiar. Wonder how Richter got his powers back? Well, I'll cover that. I am going to review Avengers: The Children's Crusade, the miniseries where Richter gets his powers back eventually, but it's a 9-issue miniseries and the last issue isn't out yet, so it's going to take me a while to get to that review, but I will get to it, so you will find out how he got his powers back if you watch that review. Whoa! It's like my power is to see the future, or to see the present from the past. Of course, if I could see the future, then I'd tell you the next testimonials from beloved filmmaker and my future regeneration, Brad Jones.
I first met the Last Angry Geek when I was at a log cabin in Illinois. He was splitting rails when I stopped by and he invited me inside. I could tell by the law books that this kid was going places. Little did I know, he would grow up to be the 16th President of the United States. Yeah, I am drunk.
I donated blood to him. Oh, he wasn't sick or anything, he just really wanted my blood. The final third of the story kicks off the Avengers arriving to confront Rogue's cleavage. I mean the X-Men! Seriously, she's never dressed this way in X-Men Legacy. Captain America, Magneto, and Cyclops begin to argue over Wanda's fate until Richter sets off a quake to get their attention. The Scarlet Witch reunites with her friends and family, but Cyclops isn't having it. They want to hold her responsible for what she did to the mutants. Even though Magneto points out they only want revenge. Cyclops won't listen, leading to the keyed-up mutants attacking the Avengers. Things come to a head when Emma Frost takes control of Wiccan and Speed, leading Wanda to single-handedly take down the assembled heroes and teleporting herself and the young Avengers back to Dr. Doom's waiting arms. Kids wonder if they were wrong and the witch wasn't evil all along. Wanda explains she trusts Doom. Before she destroyed the Avengers, she met with him to try and get her sons back, but can't remember what happened. Doom supplies the information. They tried to magically tap into Earth's life force to restore her sons. But it overwhelmed Wanda, driving her mad and leading to the events of Avengers Disassembled. They attempt to reenact the ritual, but Patriot again acts as the voice of reason, pointing out that Doom won't give up that much power if he gets his hands on it. The Scarlet Witch asks Wiccan to act as a safeguard, with Doom restoring his powers. Eli says they were supposed to give mutants a choice on being repowered, but Wanda points out the Avengers' X-Men conflict means she might never get the chance. They have to do this now. Doom, Wiccan, and Wanda begin to weave a spell to repower the mutant race. Patriot has had enough of being ignored and fires one of Hawkeye's incendiary arrows at Doom. However, it hits Wanda, breaking the spell and nearly killing her. Wiccan is able to save her life, but the life force of the mutants has now been transferred into Dr. Doom. The now empowered Victor promises Wanda he will be a benevolent force of good. Patriot asks about the mutants, but Victor cannot undo Wanda's spell. However, he promises to provide for them. The Scarlet Witch asks him to give up his power, but he's already busy making plans for ruling the world. Wanda forces him to choose between her and the power, but he takes this as a betrayal and teleports them back to New York, where the heroes are all still unconscious. The young Avengers argue over who's to blame and what their next move should be when Emma Frost knocks the Scarlet Witch out. Reading Wanda's mind, the X-Men can see she can't restore any more mutants with the power now in Doom's hands. It's then Doom arrives. He demonstrates his power to heal and resurrect. All the heroes have to do is accept it, but if they fight back, they stand no chance against him. There isn't even a moment of hesitation as the combined heroes charge and attack the giant omnipotent Doom. The young Avengers debate how to fight Doom. Cassie offers to grow to his size and distract him while Wiccan and Wanda drain Doom of his life force, but Scott shrieks down and goes instead. He blasts Doom's inner ear, disorienting the Doctor, and seems to get swatted, setting Cassie off as she grows to giant size and clocks Victor. He responds by knocking her back with an energy blast. Wanda and Billy open the portal, but Doom uses this to take more of the life force. However, it overpowers him and burns the power out. Doom rejects Wanda, claiming that he was behind the destruction of the Avengers and depowering of mutants, before teleporting away. Just then, Scott Lang reappears. He shrunk down to avoid Doom's blow. Yes! Now this is a feel-good ending. Wanda's redeemed, Scott's alive, and Cassie... Cassie? Scott cradles his daughter in his arms. She's paid the price for bringing him back. Cassie Lang is dead. I didn't cry when they hung me father for stealing a mule, but damn it, I'll cry now! Oh God! Cut to Angry Joe!
Naturally being angry, the Geek and I have a lot in common. Off the top of my head, I can't really think of anything, but we do use the same words in our name.
Iron Lad demands that they let him take Cassie into the time stream so he can fix this event. Vision, Cassie's boyfriend, tells him they must accept this and leave her here. Nathaniel snaps at this and attacks the Vision, destroying him in the process. Wiccan tries to stop him from going into the past to fix this, saying this is the moment he becomes Kang the Conqueror. But Iron Lad won't listen. He'll be better than Kang ever was, and disappears. Wanda turns herself over to the X-Men. Most of the heroes don't believe Doom's confession, but Cyclops acknowledges there's no justice in her death. She must spend the rest of her life working to atone. Wanda walks away from the Avengers, mutants, Wonder Man, and her family. She needs to take responsibility for herself for once. Giving her children a hug, she holds Scott Lang as he cries into her arms. A short while later, the young Avengers discuss bringing back the Vision. 30th century technology aside, Kate isn't sure they should. As his saved memories were taken before Cassie's death, it seems cruel just to bring him back to break his heart. Patriot has decided to quit. Eli blames himself for the mutants not getting their powers back and has decided to go live with his mother and just be a regular boy for now. Kate also quits. Having watched her best friend die, she doesn't feel she belongs in a world of superpowered beings. Finally, Wiccan himself retires, blaming his blind quest for Wanda for starting the whole thing. We follow Billy through a montage that shows the Young Avengers sitting out Spider Island, Schism, and the return of the Human Torch in Fantastic Four. Months later, Teddy tries to snap Billy out of his funk, subtly hinting that he wants to marry him. This perks Billy up a bit, as the two finally kiss in the pages of a Marvel comic book. The boyfriends are interrupted by Miss, or is that Captain Marvel? In costume with Speed and Hawkeye, Hulkling and Wiccan enter Avengers Mansion with Captain America and Iron Man. Cap congratulates them on doing what they couldn't, finding Wanda and defeating Dr. Doom. He lets them know that whether there's a Young in front of their team name or not, all of them are Avengers. In front of Scott Lang, we see his Ant-Man memorial has been joined by statues of the Young Vision and my hero, Cassie Lang. And I mean that. When I first started reading the Young Avengers, Cassie quickly became my favorite. And when we lose our favorites, that can be hard on us. She went down fighting one of the Marvel Universe's greatest villains when he was more or less unstoppable. You can't ask for a better exit. I know, it's comic books. Sooner or later, Cassie will be back. But until then, the Young Avengers to me will be about this awesome teenage girl who said, I want to be just like my dad and help people. Now let's take a closer look at Avengers, the Children's Crusade. My biggest issue with this is that it was bi-monthly. That meant any delay didn't just push it back, maybe a week. It pushed it back by a month or more. It took 1.5 years to put out these 9 issues. But this isn't really a problem now, as the hardcover collection was in stores almost immediately upon the series' conclusion. No doubt to capitalize on people who want to know why the Scarlet Witch is back in Avengers vs. X-Men. And while I feel everyone had a voice to bring, my only problem was Wolverine. It didn't seem as if Heinberg had a handle on this guy. He was a little too bloodthirsty, whereas in recent years, Logan has been a kinder, gentler killing machine. Here, he's so ready to kill Wanda and maybe even Wiccan with no regard for their innocence. I did also feel that Wanda's redemption came a bit too easy. With one sentence, Doom takes all the credit for the terrible things she did. Passing the buck off onto Doom makes it a little too easy to forgive Wanda, although Wolverine did point out that Doom might have just been covering for the Scarlet Witch. That, and her eventual encounter with the reborn adult Vision in A vs. X #0, show that even if the explanation is out there, not many are buying it. Wanda is still being held accountable, which is a good thing and where her story needs to go next. Also, this story is hard to place. There's a note at the beginning saying that it didn't fit into current Marvel continuity when it first came out. I take it that's due to Steve Rogers being Captain America during a time when it was supposed to be Bucky Barnes. Thanks to the last issue, we know what happens after the Children's Crusade, but I'm still fuzzy on what happened right before it. The art by Jim Chung is just about flawless. Chung is one of those jack-of-all-trades. He draws heroic-looking men and women, great textures, so you can tell the difference between Wiccan's cloth outfit and Iron Lad's metal armor. And he has an eye for placement that really works well in the battle scenes. The only place he could use a little work with his faces. The characters tend to look the same facially, the only difference being hair and costumes. Still, it's a minor quibble. Chung's art is fantastic, and I'm glad he drew all 9 issues. This series serves as the next volume in the Young Avengers franchise, and I hope it's not the last. We will see the characters again. Kate Bishop has already been promoted to the co-star of the new Hawkeye ongoing series, but I also hope that Heinberg and Chung will reunite to show us how the Young Avengers get back together one day. While this is essentially a standalone series, it's more of a crossover book than, say, an event. There's no great villain who shows up. Doctor Doom and Wanda take that role, but are introduced so organically that it never feels like a shock moment when they arrive and the heroes battle them. This was a 9-issue series featuring Avengers, X-Men, and Young Avengers battling over the fate of one fallen hero. This story was epic. We see the children face off against a society that tells them no, and then watch them pull off the impossible. But they learn ideals have a cost as they lose friends to jealousy, grief, and self-sacrifice in the process. Coming out of the other side, they're now adults. And I can say I'm proud to have watched them take this journey. Although it did take a while to put out, it never dipped in quality or resorted to recasting the creative team in order to meet deadlines. It was everything a crossover book should be. It had a definite story to tell, gave all the characters their own unique voice, and when it was over and done with, the Marvel Universe was significantly changed. I give Avengers, the Children's Crusade, 5 out of 5 stars. And you know something? Doing this show has significantly changed me. It's helped me grow to a more confident, entertaining host. I'm so great. What more can be said that would be completely superfluous? Here's Jewario.
Oh, I think he's a great testament to what you can do with absolutely no charisma. I mean it. I've seen more personality off of cold sushi than this guy.
Thank you, Jewario. After all this love, I can't wait to work on my next 50 episodes. I'm the Last Angry Geek, and I'll see you here next time on, say it with me now, Comic Book Issues. This is Avengers. Jesus, I can't do it. That's right.
So when do we start filming? Oh.
It was just Last Angry Geek.
The Last Angry Geek. Last Angry Geek. Oh, yeah. I got it.
Never heard.
Yeah.
Gagged me and anal raped me for 5 days straight.
Oh,
I cried for days.
less Charlton Heston.
Okay.
Well, of course the geek has been a great influence on me. One of these days I'm gonna get that filthy animal.
Yeah, I am drunk.
Okay, good. Thanks, guys.
I think I...
That shit-eating grin.
Oh, I do a little shrug.
I love it.
We do use the same word in our names.
That's something.
Naturally.
Well, I think he's a great testament to what you can do with absolutely no courage. I mean it. I've seen more
Charisma.
Charisma, yeah. Courage.
Look over at me. Look over at me when you say that.